Hello and welcome to another episode of Midierror Meets, the monthly music podcast. It's not monthly. The music podcast where I speak to all sorts of people who work in sound and music. On the show this time, episode 41, we've got John Grant on the show. A wonderful man, an incredible talent. He's an amazing singer, songwriter. John was originally in a band called the Czars and in 2010 released his album Queen of Denamrk to critical acclaim. He's since gone on to release a number of amazing albums on the Bella Union record label and has just released Boy from Michigan, which sounds absolutely fantastic. Thank you very much for listening to the podcast. I really appreciate it. I really appreciate the comments and all the reposts from everybody. I want to say a huge shout out to the people listening in America, in Germany, in Australia, all over the world. It's great to see people tuning in, and I hope you're enjoying this as much as I do. Let's get on with the show though, shall we? And the first question I asked John was about his musical beginnings.
You know, when I think about earliest memories, I think about ABBA and Supertramp and Roger Miller, because my dad had this 8-track tape of Roger Miller, and we also had a bunch of my parents loved to listen to Olivia Newton-John. She had those first couple of records of hers in the 70s, which were quite sort of country a little bit. My mom really loved country. And then my brothers were really into rock music, so Supertramp comes to mind. They were listening to like Van Halen and Kiss and Molly Hatchet and Nazareth and Black Sabbath and all that stuff. I remember listening to this Journey record called Infinity because my brothers had that too. So they had and there was Beach Boys and Bread. Bread is still one of my favorites. David Gates has such an amazing voice. But I suppose the biggest one for me was like hearing ABBA for the first time, like hearing Eagle, first track off of ABBA, the album.
Mm-hmm.
And also hearing SOS for the first time.
Oh yeah, I love that track.
That's such a killer track.
Yeah, man. Yeah, you mentioned... Go on.
That was like hearing synths too for the first time as well.
Yeah, they were amazing. Like Lay All Your Love on Me, Super Trooper and SOS. Yeah, they have got beautiful synths in them, haven't they? Just wonderful richness.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, man. And where were you in the sort of age of the brothers? Which one were you?
I was the youngest.
What are you?
So they were 7 and 9 years older than me. So they were quite far along.
Cool. I think that's a great place to learn to get some musical influence from when you have older brothers.
Yeah,
and
totally.
sisters.
Totally.
Amazing.
I agree.
And so, go on.
There was a lot of Pink Floyd too. My brother, the younger of my two older brothers, he really loves Pink Floyd. So there was a lot of that as well.
Excellent, man. And did you pick up instrument? When did you start picking up and playing instruments?
I started getting piano lessons when I was quite young. So I suppose must have been when I was like 6, 7, 8 when I stared getting piano lessons.
And what were they like?
It's hard to remember anything, from that early.
Yeah.
And my mom's gone. So, I could ask her. She'd probably remember,
Mm-hmm.
when that all started.
Yeah. And because there's a great quote that you said in an interview about synths. There's nothing you loved more than the sound of synths.
Yeah.
And so when did you play your first synth? Do you remember that?
Well, when I played my first synth, it would have been like 82 or something like that, 81 maybe. I had a Sequential Circuits 6-track.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, and I sold my saxophone to because I played saxophone too when I was young, and I sold that saxophone to buy that synth.
That's a good
And so
swap.
that was pretty, yeah, it was totally.
Excellent. Well, can you just what were some of the features of the 6-track? I mean, what could it do?
It had like these six, it had like, I think it had a little bit of a, you could do short sequences on it. So it had like a little bit of a sequencer on it.
Mm-hmm.
Is the trick that it had up its sleeve, but it was quite a short keyboard. You know, it was quite small, but you know, it was sort of what I could afford at the time.
Yeah.
But of course, I would have given anything to have like an Oberheim or a Prophet, you know, the Oberheim XA or an Oberheim 8.
Yeah.
You know, those ones with the little blue lines on them.
Yeah. I think with the yeah, they're beautiful. With like the wooden paneled sides and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember going into a store and seeing those. But it's hard to remember. The sixth track was I don't know. I remember going into the store because I wanted to learn how to play the synth and learn my way around it. And I went into the store and they were, you know, they're charging you for these synth lessons, you know, and the guy was just like, "So what do you want to know?" And I didn't know, you know. I was expecting him to tell me what I don't know, you know.
Mm.
So the lesson only lasted for a few minutes, you know, and that was it. That was very sort of anticlimactic and quite boring. I was very disappointed in that exchange. But yeah, it had cool sounds, and I remember I used it in school once to give a demonstration. I had to give a speech, and so I gave a demonstration on my synth.
Nice.
And everybody thought it was really cool.
Definitely, the guy who brings a synth in and does the speech from a synth. Yeah, man.
Yeah. And you know, you could layer sounds on it, so you could have, you know, different sequences going. So I think it was quite, you know, quite advanced at the time.
Definitely. A friend of mine does have the 6-track in his rack. I think the
Oh, really?
Yeah, the module version of it. So I've seen it and sort of, but I don't think we ever turned it on because he had so much other stuff that was amazing. Yeah, but I know it's great. And also there was the Prophet 600, which was like quite an early sort of synth, which is also, they're all amazing. All those old beasts, aren't they? The sequential circuit stuff.
You know what I wish I could have is a Prophet T8.
Okay.
That thing it's so incredible. I think you know, it's one of the only other synths that had a polyphonic aftertouch.
I think didn't you take a photograph of yourself with that in your?
Yes.
Yeah, because your hands on it
to...
on your Twitter account, your old Twitter account, saying like, "I'm sorry for posting this pornography" or something like that.
Yeah, totally.
What is it about the T8?
It could have been. Benge has one of those down in he has one of those at his place in Cornwall. Yeah, and it's just like those beautiful, you know, I love the brass sounds, those creamy brass sounds from Prophet and from Oberheim. So classic.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Absolutely. Yeah, you talked about Benge's place being like the happiest time of your life in previous interviews.
Yeah. That was definitely that was one of the happiest times in my life, you know, beyond, you know, growing up in the 70s in Michigan. You know, just like in modern times, I just felt like a kid again. It was truly special that time.
Definitely.
So I would stick with that. Yeah.
I think you said something like you want your sister to go there when you've passed away so she can see what it was like.
Yeah, if you want to see where your brother was truly happy. You know, there's a lot of truth to that. It was pretty incredible.
It does sound idyllic, man. Not only the synths, but the surroundings too. Can you describe it a little bit? That like what synths did they have? What sort of took your fancy there that was in his studio?
Well, I mean, he has so much. He has, like I mentioned, he has the Prophet T8. He has a lot of the different Korg synths, like or tons of the Roland stuff, like the Roland 2, and he has a System 100, you know, modular, and he has like an ARP the 2500 modular,
Mm-hmm.
which is absolutely incredible. And he has the Surge modular, and he's got an emu modular.
Nice.
And then he's got I can't remember what that first Moog one was called. It's like the TC3 or something like that. Do you remember what those are called? It was like one of the first Moog modulars. And he met Bob. He has pictures of himself with Bob. Oh, wow. And Bob told him that the cabinets on the one that he has were made from trees in his backyard.
Oh,
those initial ones, because they were some of the first.
That's amazing.
So I always forget. So I'm probably butchering the name of that one, but we used that a lot as well. He's got a CS80 as well from Yamaha, which is just beyond. He's got the EMU synth. The what's that one called? Do you remember?
The emulator?
The emulator.
It's like a big sampler thing.
He's also got Buchla. He's got the Buchla modular, and he's got one of the easels.
Oh, such a beautiful device, isn't it?
Oh, it's incredible.
Yeah.
Super incredible. And then he's got like a Korg, of course, Korg MS-20. I think he's got an MS-10. And let's see, the Roland 2, the Roland, I think the 3 or 5 that I used on Diet Gum I think it might have been the 3. That one was really cool. I loved playing around with that one.
You also mentioned a love of the Korg Monopoly.
Oh my God. That thing is bonkers.
I have one over there.
And you love it, right?
It's amazing. It's unbelievable.
It's really one of the best ones.
Yeah.
I can't tell you how much I love that thing. I just got one from I just got a Behringer one. It's in my living room right now.
Nice.
And it sounds really incredible, I have to say.
Yeah, they've done a good job on the replication. But yeah, like the voice sequencing you can do on it, the cross modulation. There's so much stuff to that, and it punches. It's just pure, isn't it?
It punches. Yes. That's the thing. It's so punchy, and it's so industrial. It's a great industrial synth, like for industrial music, isn't it?
Yeah, man. Absolutely. You
can get those really beautiful metallic tones. And of course, in my studio, I have a Moog 1.
Excellent.
Which is, pretty deep and incredible. I have an OB6 and a Prophet 12 and a Korg MS-20.
Excellent.
And an SH-101.
Oh, beautiful. Yeah, classic.
Yeah. A beautiful sparkly blue one.
Oh, you got a blue one. Amazing.
Yeah. And I have a mini Moog and and the Juno 106, which is worth its weight in gold, of course.
Yeah.
And I have a Juno 6, and I have an Access Virus 2. Shit. And a Mellotron, and then I have let's see.
Wow, you have a Mellotron?
I have one of the new ones, the big, the big one. I don't know why it has to be that big, because I don't think there's anything. I think the small one is just fine.
Yeah.
But that thing sounds amazing. It sounds really amazing. And let's see, I have the Matrix Brute from Arturia, which is really beautiful.
Yeah, that's a beast.
Yeah, it really is. And I'm going to be getting the Poly Brute very soon.
Cool. Nice, man. If you look online, I'm the first person who ever posted a Poly Brute video, because I posted an April Fool about 5 years or 4 years before it was released to pretend that the Arturia Mini Brute could become polyphonic. So it's the title of the video is the Arturia Poly Brute about 4 years before it came out.
Oh, holy shit. How cool.
So
I'm going to look that up afterwards.
Yeah, man. It's like me pretending about a feature that's not in a synth just for like April Fool's Day.
Awesome.
Still people ask me about why doesn't it work? Still get comments. And so, what album were you working on at Benge's studio?
Yeah, I was working on that last one, Love Is Magic.
Excellent. Yeah, there's a lot of electronic stuff in there, isn't there? Real chunky vibes to
Yeah,
the synths in that.
totally.
Yeah.
And that was really an amazing experience doing all of that. I also used he has an Oberheim 4 voice, and that thing is a beast as well. I mean, so unbelievably fat.
Hmm.
The tones that come out of that thing.
There is an Oberheim. I'm not sure which one it is. I think it's the OX. I think the one of the
Yeah.
bigger ones. And you can lift the
Yes.
lid up on it, and you can detune the oscillators by turning some trimmer pots in on the PCB. So
Wow.
I know I've got friends that have got really nice studios, and you sometimes go around and they've got like the lid lifted up, and you're like, I know what you're doing with that.
That must sound amazing.
Yeah, it's like sort of open heart surgery on the synth, but then you just detune the oscillators off each other a little bit to just really fatten up this stereo image. Yeah,
Yes.
I love that stuff. I love the people that actually go that deep into synthesis.
Yeah, that's pretty amazing. I mean, I find when it comes to sound design, I'm not that great. I mean, I think I'm getting good at it, but I still sort of don't trust myself to do a lot of the things that I see the pros doing, because I'm worried about fucking it up, and you have to be really I don't know. Benge has like an encyclopedic knowledge of these things and how they work, and about what every single function is going to do. So when you ask him, he can tell you, oh, he can explain it in detail, scientifically or for the layman, or
Hmm.
and I'm not like that, but I do know that yeah, I just can't get enough of them.
That's
And
great.
I don't know if I'll ever stop buying them. I think once you get started going down that road,
Definitely, definitely, man. Especially things like the SH101. There's just a magic to that filter, just moving that filter fader up a little bit and feeling the sort of squeal and the squawk of that
yes.
thing. It's
Yeah,
yeah,
it's
amazing.
incredible, that little thing, what that thing is capable of, isn't it?
Definitely. 100-step
It's quite
sequencer.
shocking.
It's also got the bender, the mod bender thing. It's a chord bender, and you can. Yeah, it's a really sort of a bit like the Nord keyboards, the way they've got that little piece of wood. It's sort
Yeah,
of
I
like,
love that thing.
yeah, me too. Yeah.
I do have a Nord Lead 3,
Yeah. Did you play?
and
Go on.
it has the little it's the one that has the LEDs around the pots,
Hmm.
so you can see the location of where you are. It's really cool. And then it's got the little bender, with the little wooden bender with that your finger just fits in so nicely there.
Yeah, I was talking to Annie Klang a few episodes ago, who's a techno producer, and we were just,
Yeah,
yeah, we were talking about that little piece of wood for about 10 minutes, just like how great it is. No one else has done it. It just feels quality. You really feel like some connection to the sound through it,
totally.
and it's a piece of wood. It's like genius. They're
Yeah,
Swedish, aren't they, Nord?
yeah, that's right.
Amazing. Did
Yeah.
did you, because I saw you play in the Attenborough Centre last year, January 2020. I
Oh,
think there was
wow.
a Nord lead on stage there. If I
Yeah,
was,
we always have that on tour with us, doing MIDI stuff, and just feeding things into it to feeding the MIDI into it so that we can mess with the tweak the sounds and stuff.
yeah, man. I mean, that gig was it was really incredible. Like it was really amazing to hear your voice live and to really like feel it through the PA as well. It was
Oh, wow.
a very powerful experience. I can say that.
Thank you. That's great to hear, man.
Yeah. Let's talk about strings, because there are a lot of your tracks which are beautifully orchestrated.
Hmm.
Going back a few of your albums, yeah, where did that sort of love of strings and orchestration come from?
That's a good question. I mean, I suppose it comes from my classical upbringing, but I just love. I guess I've always just loved a really creamy string section. Um, because it's funny, because I often don't like listening to orchestral recordings, because I find the dynamics are so difficult. When listening to a full orchestra, it's too loud. If you turn it way up, then when it gets loud, it's over the top, and then it's so dynamic that you have to keep, changing the volume. I find either I can't hear it or it's driving me insane,
Yeah.
So, but I don't know. I think there's I remember a long time ago, there was this piece by Henry Mancini called Lujon, Lujon, and I heard it in Sexy Beast. And
the film?
Yeah.
It's a good
it was
film.
used, that piece of music was used in that. But I remember growing up listening to Henry Mancini and hearing, I really love soundtracks. So, like Howard Shore, his horror soundtracks, like his scores for stuff like Seven. I've always been quite inspired by that sort of thing. So, I mean, I've always felt like, my music would lend itself to something like that quite nicely.
Oh, it does.
So I suppose that's where it comes from. But I really love horror scores, so maybe it comes from that.
Mm. Yeah, you. I think no more so than I wrote down 3 songs that really the string sections are incredible. They all begin with G. I don't know why this happened, but Glacier, Global Warming, and Geraldine, just such powerful string sections. All of those.
Yeah, and that's Fiona Bryce that did that arranging of those for me. And she worked on Queen of Denmark, and then she did she worked on the next 2 records as well.
Yeah, really beautiful. And it's also
I'll let her know that you said that. She'll be chuffed. I got a text from her yesterday, so.
Oh, great! Yeah, please do let her know.
Yeah.
And you did also perform with the BBC Philharmonic Orchestra.
Yeah.
Which I listened to this morning. It's absolutely amazing. I love that.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, that was quite an experience. I mean, and then I did the thing with I did the Scott Walker prom, which was incredible, working with that orchestra as well. So, and worked with the Royal Northern Symphonia, doing stuff up at the Sage and Gateshead. It's pretty amazing. I do love working with an orchestra. It's not necessarily the easiest thing in the world at the beginning, but the people were always quite gracious and kind. So it was a really positive experience.
And how do you integrate that into your music? If you have an idea, how do you integrate them into a song?
I mean, I feel like the songs just lend themselves so much. The instrumentation usually, I mean, because a lot of the synth stuff that I love are those beautiful. I mean, I really love beautiful pads, and so I use a lot of that stuff anyway. So it just makes sense to use a string section or an orchestra to do those things. And I suppose my love of brass and brass sections comes from James Bond. A lot of the John Barry stuff. I'm such a fan of, and I don't know. I just love French horns and trombones, and especially, and also the woodwinds. I think, bass clarinet is sort of my favorite. I think that is such an incredible sound, and you can really do those things quite well with synths. And so I think a lot of the things that I grew up hearing on synths are sort of, they were representations of what you would hear from an orchestra. So I suppose that melds quite nicely together, if that makes sense.
Absolutely makes sense. Yeah, the sort of the power and the emphasis on sometimes on low end sounds. You can feel like the sort of like a wave crashing, like the sort of the bass, the low end of it sort of coming round on a brass instrument. But equally you can get that on a nice synth envelope.
Totally. Yeah, I mean, there's a sound there's a patch on the 106, the Juno. It sounds exactly like a bass clarinet, and I can't get enough of it. Sometimes I just sit there and play it all afternoon. Nothing in particular, but just listening to that sound. That is quite a flexible little beast, that Juno 106.
It is.
Do you have one of those? Are you a fan of those? Or
I used to have a Juno 6, and I modified it to be a Juno 66, which meant it had chord memory, unison, voices.
The Tubutech?
Yes.
The Tubutech mod. I have that on my 6 as well.
Excellent.
Maybe you can give me some pointers on, because you can use the chord memory with the arpeggiator, right?
Oh, I don't know. Yeah, I imagine you can. Yeah,
you can for sure. It talks about, and I have the Tubutech manual, and it talks about how you can set the chord memory and then turn on the arpeggiator and have it be playing, have the arpeggiator be working all these chords. And I have to get that going because that's supposed to be the mutt's nuts.
I will read the manual after this conversation and I'll find out. I honestly didn't know you could do that. And unfortunately,
it's pretty cool, isn't it?
Yeah, that's way cool. That's super cool to be able to arpeggiate chords. Yeah, I mean, a friend of mine designs an arpeggiator, which I sell as like a hardware unit, and I'd love to send you one of them, man. It's a MIDI arpeggiator, little box.
Oh, wow.
And actually, just before your gig when you played in Brighton, I was frantically sending you like Twitter messages trying to get in touch so I could give you one before the gig. But obviously,
oh man,
you got way more important things to be doing before a gig.
Well, it doesn't sound like I do. That's pretty damn important. I mean, arpeggiators that's one of the most beautiful things in the world for me.
Yeah,
I can't get enough arpeggiators going.
Man, I will send you one for sure.
Oh, that would be fantastic, Chris. Yeah. I'd love that. What
were you going to say then, especially when you're...
Well, when you have like the Prophet 12 has, 4 LFOs and you can basically have 4 different arpeggiators going in different directions. You can have an arpeggiator on each of the oscillators and it's just incredible because it's just moving and undulating and going all over the place. And you've got those different LFOs affecting each one differently. And I love that when you get lost in it, and you can't really tell at all what's going on anymore,
Yeah, and time just flies by, and you're just in this spaceship land.
Totally.
Yeah, I love that stuff, man. You mentioned in an interview about your track Tempest, and about how you made a loop in Reason using an arpeggiator.
Yeah.
When you were in Sweden in Gothenburg.
That's right.
And it was a ping pong loop that you took, like you lost the laptop, and then you had to like remake this thing that you did in Ableton. I love that story, man.
Yeah.
Well done for doing that. That's like,
oh,
dedication.
Thank you. Yeah, I had an audio clip of it. I had like an MP3 clip of that loop. So I just can't believe that I was able to recreate it, but I was just so determined because it was one of my favorite things. That sequence is one of my personal favorite things that I've done. And I love, and when we did that on the, I can't remember what we used. I think we might've used an SH-101, and then we put it through the filter of the Roland 100. And so beautiful. That's one of my favorite songs I've ever done, Tempest. I love that thing.
It's fantastic, man. It's fantastic. And I didn't realize until I was reading up on preparing for this interview that was relating to the video game Tempest.
Yeah that and Millipede have always been my favorite games to play, and I still play Tempest all the time. I love the sounds. It has the most incredible sounds. I don't know if you're familiar, but
I know the game, absolutely. I know the game.
Cool.
And also, I think Jeff Minter, who's like an eccentric British video game programmer, he programmed Tempest 2000, which was like the sort of a later incarnation of it. And I don't know if you know any of Jeff Minter's games. They're all like really wacky, sort of way out video games.
Would you send me his name?
Sure.
So I can look him up?
Sure, yeah, Jeff Minter.
That sounds like something I'm going to need to explore.
Yeah, man. I am sitting here with a Commodore 60, a NES and a Commodore 64 to my right.
Amazing.
Yeah.
So you must love all that 8-bit stuff is just, precious to me. Definitely,
man. Where were you playing those video games?
I was in Denver. It was, 1980. I think Tempest came out in 79. And soon after that, there was all these other ones. Qbert has amazing sounds on it as well. Qbert and Defender and Stargate and Joust and Centipede and Millipede and Galaga.
Yeah. They do. There's something so... particularly this...
Oh, and Donkey Kong. Sorry.
Yeah. I love the simplicity of the gameplay. That draws you in so quickly. But yeah, the sound effects and the music and the little trills and frills of things that are happening in the game. They're beautiful, aren't they?
Yeah. I mean, there's still a ton of those things that I would love to be able to. I'd love to know how they did like the spider on Centipede, because the spider has such a really cool sound. It's like it sounds like something arpeggiated, actually, like a really tiny loop.
Mm-hmm.
But I can't get over how those things must have been programmed. Do you know about all that?
Yeah, I think they had other software to program the sound effects with, and then I mean, I know from my Atari ST days that I have this thing called Sound Effects Programmer, and you can put it into your Atari ST and make sound effects all day long just using the sound chip. And in fact, I don't want to plug my own shit, but I have done a free chiptune sample pack, which is sampled from the C64, the Game Boy, the Atari ST, and the Teenage Engineering Pocket Operator. So they're all just funny sound effects that I made for about...
Where's that available?
It's online. It's on my SoundCloud account, but I can send it to you. It's
that would be great.
Lo-fi stuff.
Yeah, I love that stuff.
Cool, man.
I mean, Benge and I just spent a whole day one day just making sound effects on the Moog, on the giant Moog. I love, like sparkling, glittering, like descending and ascending arpeggiator stuff. That's usually like transformation sounds. When something's going, boop, 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 boop,
Yeah.
I cannot get enough of that shit, I gotta say.
There's some of them that fuse so well with the visuals that it's almost like one organic thing happening. Do you ever find that?
Yeah.
Like the way like a ghost just
Absolutely.
appears and floats away, and you don't even recognize the difference between the animation and this. You don't even decompose it. It's just like it's an experience that it's a thing you experience.
Yeah, it's hard to imagine that somebody thought that up and that it didn't just always occur like that naturally.
Yeah, and like one guy programming the game and the music and the sound effects in his bedroom. There's
Totally.
I have some friends that do a podcast called the Retro Hour, and they do talk to people who do music and sound effects in old video games, going back to the 70s. Maybe I can send you some choice ones of those. I'm sure they've spoken to Jeff Minter, who did the later versions of Tempest.
Right.
He's a really funny guy. He's like your typical eccentric. I think I might have said he was English earlier. I think he might be Welsh. I might have done him a big disservice there. But yeah.
Yeah, you really. I've learned that myself the hard way. That one. I mean, in my early days of when I first started coming to England, I did not know that Wales was a separate country.
Mm-hmm.
Just didn't know. And one learns very quickly, doesn't one?
Yeah. You mentioned transformation, the sound of transformation, and
yes,
you mentioned that in horror that you liked, if you were to be an actor at any point, that you would like to have like a role that had a transformation in it.
Yeah, like I love body horror, so yeah, to be, like, I mean, one of my favorite scenes of any movie is, of course, you can probably guess it, or when I say it, you'll, the werewolf transformation scene in American Werewolf in London, and the werewolf transformations in The Howling as well were quite incredible. And so, I don't know, there's just something about, there's something that I can't get enough of. There was a horror movie which was quite bad but amazing in the 70s called it's just like the letter S 7 times, and it's about people transforming into snakes.
Wow.
And actually I have a picture right here on my wall of my favorite scene from that movie, and it's where this guy goes to a circus and he sees this man who is in the process of transforming into a snake.
Wow.
Can you see that?
Yeah.
And I saw this the first time in the 70s, and it was absolutely horrifying.
I love that slogan that says, "Don't say it, hiss it."
Right?
Yeah.
That was the slogan. Amazing.
That's cool, man. What is it? What is
Yeah,
it?
I've got horror stuff all over the place, you know. This is another transformation one.
Hmm.
You remember Prophecy
I
from the
haven't seen
70s?
Prophecy, no.
But that's a beautiful poster, isn't it?
Yeah,
Can you see that?
gorgeous. Yeah, absolutely.
From the little zygote. Um, let's see. And then this is from the movie that I talk about on my record. That's Mia Farrow in I did a song on the new record called Dandy Star. And that's a horror movie about Mia Farrow is playing a blind girl, and everyone in the house has been slaughtered, and so she comes home while the killer is still in the house and everyone's dead, and she spends the night in the house with everyone dead, and then she wakes up in the morning and starts walking around the house, and of course she's blind, so she has to stumble across all these dead bodies, and
Whoa.
then the killer comes back for her and is terrorizing her in the house. And I saw that on the TV when I was a kid, and it terrified me. It was sort of traumatic experience. The movie doesn't really hold up, but there's some chilling scenes in it still, like the discovery, what this girl goes through, and the guy breaks glass around, so she ends up walking on all this broken glass. And I don't know, as a kid, I was just terrified for her,
I'm terrified for her now.
Yeah, right. Totally.
That's a great
But
setup.
but the song is about, the reason she's blind is because she fell off her horse, and the name of her horse in that movie is Dandy Star. And so the song on my record, which is called Dandy Star, is about that movie, and it's about her relationship with this horse, and that the horse, even though he was sort of the cause of her blindness, that he's also going to be the one to take her away from this horror.
Mm,
I don't know. I
that's a great
really love that
metaphor.
song. Yeah, I really like that too. I don't know. I've wanted to do something about that movie, and it's not because the movie is so great. It's about just obviously how it affected me when I was a little boy in the '70s.
Definitely, man. Definitely. That sounds way cool. I really want to check that out. I can just imagine the like, because she's blind, I can imagine her, like, some of the things that happen when she's first
Yeah,
walking around and she maybe nearly trips over a corpse or just
yeah, yeah.
doesn't touch one. Yeah, I mean,
Yes,
that
yes,
sounds like Alfred Hitchcock times a
yeah,
thousand.
yes. Well, I mean, actually, the initial one is that she wakes up in her bedroom that she shares with her cousin, and the cousin is just lying there slaughtered on the bed next to her, and she wakes up and is just calling out people's names, and yeah, I was horrified. And they just show the boots. They just show the boots of the killer. And it's funny because now when I see it these days, it's sort of comical because the boots he's wearing, it looks like he's on his way to like a leather club to have a good time. You know, it's it's really sort of funny, but
Perhaps he
yeah,
is.
I'd be anxious to hear what you think of that song when you hear it.
Definitely, man. Absolutely. Yeah. So your album's out on next, is it next month?
Not quite. It's if today were already May, it would be next month.
Sorry, yeah, I'm assuming it's May. I've lost track of all
Yeah.
time. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
tell me
man.
about it. I'm right there with you. It's June 25th is when the album comes out. And
Cool.
there's going to be one more single to come out. So there'll be 4 songs will have been released, and then there's 8 more songs to discover on the record. And so the next one to come out is Billy, and that comes out on May 18th. And
Excellent. It's
that's the
sounding
last track on the
fantastic.
record.
They
Mm,
really sound
thank you.
fantastic, man. Really, really enjoying them.
Thank
And
you.
you worked with Kate LeBon on the album.
Yeah.
Yeah, I read that you began that at the same time the presidential election was happening and the lockdown was happening.
Yeah.
Yeah, what was that? What was the experience of making that album like? To not ask too much of a generic question.
No, I mean, it was just a really stressful time. It was a really, I mean, because we loved being together, but we were also sort of, I mean, they were a long way from home. It was Kate and her engineer, Sammer, and I think it was, they saw that we were making a beautiful thing, and so they decided to stay on because, of course, everything was canceled in everybody's diaries, and so they stayed on an extra month. to what they were supposed to. Initially, so they were here for 2 months at the beginning, and there was a lot of joy. There was a lot of just unadulterated joy in creating this thing, but there was also a lot of tension because everybody's personal lives were so affected, and also we were seeing what was going on with the election thing in the States. That was sort of, I have to say, that was sort of tearing me apart, to just see that. But most of my family supported, what was going on there at the beginning too. And, they just sort of, people just seem to think that, I don't want to get off on this political tangent, so don't worry. But, just when, people thought that Trump was no different than any other president we've ever had. And that's just mind-boggling to me.
Yeah, he does seem like he was a completely different prospect than anyone previously that I know of who's been in charge of the US.
And him giving a new voice to the ugliest of the ugly, just allowing all of that to be brought out to the surface, all of the nastiness and the whole white supremacist angle and the fascism. They were really going for the authoritarianism. They were really going for it, and it looked like they were going to win too. And that stressed the fuck out of me, because I just, so yeah, maybe it's good in some ways because all of that went into the record as well, and it was good for the record. But I think we were all quite frazzled and sort of, emotionally exhausted and physically by the end of this. But Kate is a pro, and she was a badass, all the way through it, and just really helped keep me going and help me focus the sound, to a cohesive whole. All in all, it was fantastic, but it was stressful because you just didn't know what the fuck is going on in this world.
Yeah, I know a lot of people who are, living with their partners, and, that's put so much pressure on even the greatest, let's say on paper, the greatest relationships have all really struggled during the last year because you just that intensity and the dynamics were so restricted. So, you've done an amazing job to get an album together, get it ready. It sounded amazing. You. And you have also said previously, when it comes to art, you say everything. Yeah,
I there are things that I wouldn't say. I suppose everything is a little bit exaggerated, but I think you just definitely shouldn't be thinking about what people are going to think about what you're going to say. I just think it's really important that when you go into the studio that you lock out the world and just say exactly what you feel like you need to say. But I also think it's important to think about the motivation behind it as well. So I don't suppose I would say anything, and there have been times when I've written a song because I wanted to be hurtful, because I felt hurt. But that's a lot more revealing about me than it is about anybody that I would want to hurt, isn't it? Because I think people know instinctively that's just a wounded animal who's reacting, so yeah, but I just think motivation is important too. And so when I'm writing a song, I think I go through I always talk about this on every album cycle is, there's like a long distillation process, or sometimes with some songs, because I want to get away from worrying about what people are going to think about what I'm saying, or worrying about how I'm going to be perceived. If it's the truth of the situation, then even though it may be ugly, I think that's okay, because that's just part of the human experience.
Absolutely.
If it's not pretty or comfortable. So I suppose that's quite obvious, but sometimes, you can really get yourself, you think too much or overthink how you want to say something. And so sometimes it can be quite a process to make sure that you're distilling something down to its essential elements. So it's, the thing that you set out to create, and not this thing that is covered by all these layers of how you want to be perceived, or say, I want to sound cool on this, or I want to sound strong. You have to allow yourself to be vulnerable.
think that's one of your absolute strengths is putting your vulnerability and your emotions into words and into song. That it's really to be admired and commended. There are not. I don't think there are many songwriters like you that have that ability to put your absolute heart and soul into a song, alongside it being very funny at times as well.
Yeah, I mean, that's an important component for me, and maybe that's why it works, but thank you. But I think for me it's because that's what everyday life is like. When you're experiencing all this heavy shit, like say your mother's dying or something like that, there's still funny shit happening right in the middle of all that every day. You never get that thing all by itself. You get so many snippets of things happening around you in everyday life, like there's a radio on in the background, so you're hearing about what's happened somewhere else, or somebody's saying something extremely funny, so you find yourself laughing in the middle of this horrifying moment. I mean, that's what everyday life is like. And so I think I often want to show that, as sort of just like because that's the real human experience, because we never get to deal with any of this shit separately. It's all at the same time with everything else that's going on.
It's a very good point. Yeah. And just when you were speaking there, you very much reminded me of Keith Flint from The Prodigy, when he committed suicide.
I remember that. Yeah.
I took the trip to Braintree to go to his funeral, because The Prodigy to me were like the biggest band in my whole life.
Right.
And it was exactly like you were saying. It was a mix of like glory and fun mixed with absolute heartache and pain in one day. It was like amazing. There were so many amazing people there. There were sound systems all over Braintree. Everyone in the cars was blasting The Prodigy. It was this really surreal experience. It was full of people everywhere. But yet there was this church service that was in the middle of it that was like, it was just such a contrasting day of emotions. And yeah, you sort of reminded me of that.
Yeah, and that must have been incredible. You'll never forget that, will you?
No way. Like the people I met that day, I mean, I'm sort of welling up thinking about it now, because it was tough. It was a tough time. So yeah, that's very true, man. It's very true that you say those two things coexist.
Yeah. I mean, I remember just another example, a short example of that is like when I was getting sober and I felt so fucked up, and I just felt like I could see how long the road was ahead of me and everything. And then my brother had a little boy that was born, and I remember seeing pictures of this baby coming into the world that day. And I remember just being very emotional, thinking about what my life had been. And now there was this joyous event happening in the family, my brother having his first son. And it felt very emotional because it was such a clash of, because I felt like I was dying, and here was this new, fresh thing coming into being with a completely blank slate, and I thought about it. Just made me think about that's how it always is, that's what's going on every day, always, all the time,
Yeah, man.
And it just never stops.
Yeah. You've done tremendously well, because I know you did suffer with addictions, or you have suffered with addictions. And you've that's not an easy thing to overcome at all.
No, it isn't. It's definitely worth it. And there's even times when it's sort of hard to be with a completely awake brain at times. There's times when you wish you could just shut your brain off the way you used to. But, there's a lot to be said for just sticking with a feeling, even if it's not comfortable for you, instead of escaping it,
100%, man. Yeah, 100%.
So it's worth it. But I mean, it is a hard journey, and I don't know. It's a crazy world, Then you have people who can try a little bit of everything and do anything, and they never get addicted because it's just not that way for them at all, and then you have to spend, half your life getting over something like that, because it's almost completely destroyed you. It's just wild. But we are individuals, aren't we? I mean, that's that's one of the great paradoxes I find, is that we're all in this together and experiencing very similar things, but each of us in a way that nobody else out of 8 billion people will experience it. It's quite mind-boggling. And we're all sort of talking about the same things, right? But never quite, because nobody perceives anything exactly like somebody else. And I find that, I mean, that's sort of mind-blowing to me.
It is, especially, yeah. I think all of the minutiae and things that have happened and influences and people that have come and gone in our lives and the way we were all brought up, the way we were sort of, I don't know, served dinner as a child is all a little bit different. And we're sort of fundamentally on the same path. But yeah, there are small changes in there.
Yeah. I mean, it's amazing when you think you're speaking the same language with somebody and, you know, the perception can be completely different. And you know, my brothers, like my older brothers, they loved their childhood and they thought it was fantastic. So when they see me and my sister and how fucked up we are, they're always like, we don't know what you guys are talking about. Our childhood was great. But it was weird because our parents were completely different people by that time, by the time we came around, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And you're totally affected by everything that's going on. I don't know. I don't mean to go down a rabbit hole here, but it's just, it's fascinating how we perceive things totally differently as individuals.
Definitely. And I guess also on the other side of that, you can meet someone in a random location, in a random place, who's had a very similar experience to you and then connect with them. And that's an amazing thing that can happen, isn't it?
Yeah, those are amazing moments too. And because the world can seem like a very scary place, and then you go out there and you find yeah, like what you said, that you just never know what's going to happen. And a lot of times it's something pretty incredible.
Yeah, man. Do you find that you're able to express yourself when you use other languages? Because I know you're a multilingual polyglot. Do you find
Yeah. So,
yeah, do you find that you're able to express yourself well in certain things in other languages?
yeah, I mean, yeah, definitely. But I think I mean, it's sort of different personalities, like different languages have sort of different personalities for me. Like speaking Russian is totally different I feel like I have a totally different personality to when I'm speaking German, because those languages sort of, they sort of dictate that. And that's a very interesting thing to think about, sort of psycholinguistics or whatever, that, you know, because we as individuals, we affect the way the language changes, and but often the structure of a language sort of dictates how we will express ourselves, either or how we will express ourselves as well, because of the grammar, you know, the rules that are in place for how the language functions. So I mean, something like German, it was, I remember when I lived there, you could see the language as people became proficient in the language, people from other countries, you could see how it would change their personality, you know. So that was quite an interesting thing to behold. I don't know. I mean, Noam Chomsky definitely has a lot of thoughts on that. It's quite fascinating though, because he's one of the premier linguists in the world. You know, he's the most famous American linguist, and has written a lot about it. But you mostly hear about it in political context, don't you? But yeah, I don't know. You know, there was time. I mean, as I get older, and you know, trying to learn Icelandic now, and it's going really well, but it's quite a slow process. You know, partially because I'm not in my teens or 20s anymore, and you know, as the language center sort of closes down during that time, and I really, mine sort of seemed to stay open for quite a bit longer, and I was able to, you know, achieve proficiency in German to an extent that I was able to express myself better in German at one point than I could in English, for sure,
Nice.
while I was going to school there. But I wouldn't say that's the case anymore. I think my English caught up to my level in German, you know, and I think English is definitely the one that I can express myself best in with most anything. It's hard to keep all these up when you don't live in the country and use them, you know, in conversation every day. But it's not something that I ever stopped studying. You know, I'm always studying words in all the different languages, and it's just sort of a lifestyle for me. I never get tired of. I've got tons of books in German and tons of books in Russian and books in Icelandic and Spanish and all sorts of different languages, and I love to just take one off the shelf and you know, read for a while in it, and it just keeps all these little things, it keeps all these languages going in your head, you know.
Definitely. And that's such an admirable character trait for an English speaker because we're notoriously lazy bastards who go to foreign
Yeah,
countries and just shout really loud in English and point at people.
yeah,
And
yeah, yeah,
so that's such an admirable character trait that you have. And it's definitely a skill, there's some, it's definitely a skill that you have there to be able to do that.
yeah. It's true. It's true, and I'm quite grateful for it, I have to say, and it's just extremely rewarding because there's all sorts of phrases and idiomatic ways and colloquialisms, ways of expressing yourself in other languages that we don't have in our language, and it makes you think about things differently. It literally gives you a different perspective on life, you know?
100%.
Just one of my favorite examples to give is like, I mean, when you think about the phrase "to take a nap," it's quite a normal phrase, and I imagine you as an individual, Chris, you probably think about sleep, right, and taking a break.
Hmm.
But you know, the phrase "to take a nap" in Icelandic is at least one of the phrases that is used quite often here is "að fá sér kríu," which means a kría is an Arctic tern. It's a type of bird that's quite prevalent here. And so basically the phrase means to take an Arctic tern, you know, like to take the name of this bird. And but then you find out from, other, people who are more experienced in the language that it doesn't stop there, that it's actually ataka kriublund. There's this other little word that they actually leave out because it's implied in the phrase.
Mm.
And this thing blundur, this word means like a break or a pause. And then you find out that where this comes from is that before the Arctic tern dives into the water to catch a fish, it hovers in the air without flapping its wings for just, I don't know, just a second or a millisecond or something. It's doing nothing. It's getting ready to dive into the water to get the fish. And so it pauses there. And so basically when you say, I'm gonna go take a nap, it's about having this tiny little break. So it's just such a connection to the things that these people saw happening in nature around them. And it gives you a totally different way of thinking about this very simple thing that we say of, I'm going to go rest my eyes for a minute, or I'm going to go take a nap. And there are millions, there are hundreds and thousands and millions of things like that in all different languages that give you totally different pictures in your mind
D-
and make you think about things from a totally different angle. So I never ever tire of this.
Absolutely. I do remember sort of gribi dosht in Russian, like mushroom rain. That was one I
Yeah,
always, whenever I look out the window and I see that kind of rain, I'm always like, oh, gribi
right.
dosht.
Right. Fantastic.
Yeah.
That's a great example.
Yeah, there was one in Portuguese, and I haven't spoken Portuguese for a long time, but the phrase to like go safely, they would say to
Right.
walk beneath the shadows. And I thought
Ooh,
that was such a beautiful way, like sort of go carefully, like walk under the shadows. I can't remember quite the words, and I'd probably end up
that's
butchering it.
beautiful.
But yeah, I love those things in foreign languages.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did live in Russia. I lived in Siberia for a year. I taught English in Siberia, so I picked up a tiny amount of Russian.
Wow, what an amazing experience.
It was one of the most amazing experiences of my life. It was incredible.
Where were you?
I was in Khanty-Mansisk, which is a very sort of slap bang in the middle of Siberia. The nearest city was Omsk, I think, but it was like
Right.
17 hours to Omsk. It was like the nearest big city.
Oh my- It's really unbelievable the size of that place, isn't it?
Fuck yeah, yeah. Yeah, like going into the forest in Siberia was just the most magical experience because it went on forever. Like, and when you're walking around, it all looks the same, and you sort of get this like a bit like a seasickness, but it's like a beautiful. It's not a bad thing. It's like a beautiful, mysterious thing, and you can see why people have
Right.
seen crazy things in the in the wilderness there because
Yeah.
it's vast. It's so you can feel
Yeah.
how vast it is.
Yeah. Yeah, it's really fascinating. I'd really love to do the Trans-Siberian Railway,
Yeah, man.
and that would be incredible, I think. But the people are pretty incredible
Yeah.
in those smaller places. I wonder, did you ever read any Solzhenitsyn while you were there?
No.
Like thinking about gulags in Siberia or anything?
I didn't. They worked me really hard. I was teaching English and I was working like 6 days a week, so I had like very little free time. But yeah, What would you recommend reading?
Well, just the archipelago gulag, about the system of, prison camps in Soviet Russia. That, that it was banned there for a long time, but I just thought, since you've been to Siberia and you know the remoteness and the vastness of it, it might be a great read for you.
Cool, man. Yeah, the people were lovely. You're absolutely right. They are, of all the places I've ever been to, the most welcoming, the most
Yeah.
hospitable. They had a really great connection to nature too. Like they knew remedies and
Yes.
they knew so many things that were passed down from generations to do with the earth and to do with nature.
Yeah.
That as British people, we've fucking totally forgotten all that stuff. But it's like, oh, the
Yeah.
pharmaceutical industry is where you need to go in this country.
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah, isn't that incredible? The knowledge that they have of herbs and plants and trees and animals and everything is just mind-boggling.
I really like, you did an interview with someone at Q Magazine, and you were talking about your track "Smug Cunt," and I
Yeah.
just loved how many times you mentioned that track name while you were talking to each other. It was so funny.
Yeah, that was fun. I mean, I wrote that about this. I mean, that would have been around the time that, that creature was being elected in the States,
Right.
you know? And I just couldn't believe that. I just couldn't believe that all these Christian people thought of him as the second coming. They thought of him as God's choice. And I just thought, I mean, it was just mind blowing to see, even, people in my family, like my father, and, just thinking that, yeah, I was just thinking that this person was like somebody that was interested in their values, somebody that had spent their entire life making no bones about the fact that they would do anything to destroy somebody, anything to get the upper hand, anything to make money, any lie, just this avarice and ambition, just went against everything that I was hearing about in the church when I was growing up. And I couldn't believe all these people were embracing this shit and thinking, this is the man for us. This is but it makes sense, because that sort of is the American way, because capitalism and ambition and money has taken over everything a long, long time ago. And so I came to realize that this was the only conclusion that could ever be reached, or this was the only, like on my new record, that's the only baby that bitch could have. This system could only give birth to something like that, because it's totally based on greed.
Yeah,
And
selfishness.
yeah, and so I guess he is a perfect example of the American way of life. And it was scary to see that people embracing him. And but there's a lot of people who don't feel that way too, at least half the country.
Definitely. I did
But
encounter people in Britain who, I mean, one person in particular who will remain nameless. He said "Viva la Revolution" when Donald Trump came into power.
yeah, and that's the good news, right? I mean, I just, yeah,
Wow.
I'm speechless.
Yeah, I mean, they somehow managed to propagate. I mean, they were somehow able to propagate people's deepest fears. I don't know whether it was all that Cambridge Analytica stuff through Facebook, through the internet. But they managed to get to people's deep rooted fears and
Yeah,
associate good things with this asshole.
yeah. So Smug Pot was a reaction to that, him being, elected, and just watching, the discourse just descend into the vilest human behavior. You know,
Yeah.
making how he would constantly, I don't have to tell you, the tweeting and the nastiness coming from them, the gaslighting. They're doing this thing right in front of you, and then they say, "No, I'm not doing that. You're doing it."
It's childish. It was really childish. It's like
And yet it was working. And yet it was.
It is way
It was
out.
working for them.
You're right. You're
Yeah.
right that there was a lot of people that didn't like it too, and
Yeah.
yeah. Hopefully, we're never going to see the likes of that again. But who the fuck knows?
Yeah, I sort of feel like something has come out that can never be put back in. You know, I mean, we have a nice little break from it for the moment, but I mean, the stuff that's going on in the States right now, you know, you have people in news programs telling the people who still believe Trump is still the actual president, telling them to confront people who wear masks on the street.
Right.
You know, go out and confront people who wear masks and tell them you don't feel comfortable with them wearing a mask in public.
I think these people have they have a lack of control in their own life, and they need to try and control others because they know their lives mean nothing. I mean, obviously, it's way more complicated than that, but
No, but seriously, it's so bewildering that normal thought processes fail us. You know?
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, smug cunt. Yeah, I felt every word of that when I performed that for sure.
Beautiful synths on that one. I think that was one thing to take from that song is that when I saw the track title for that when you released it, I wasn't sure what
Yeah.
to make of that track, but I listened to it and it was like, wow, that's really beautiful, like a beautiful synth work in it. Like I was expecting it to be really nasty and maybe like some Rotterdam gabber or something really fucking way out. But yeah,
Yeah.
beautiful synth work on that track, really.
Thank you. That's one of my favorites too. Thank you. Yeah, that making that track was, and you know the harmonies on the chorus too. Yeah, that was really fun to do.
Nice, man.
And you know, I think the beauty of the music sort of lends, you know, it makes the track extremely melancholy. It sort of cuts the rage of that sentiment into something more akin to melancholy because, you know, and expresses this sadness that this disgusting human behavior is something that people want to teach their children to model themselves after, and that they want to look up to it and say, this is the way a human should behave. And I thought, wow, this is the end, you know? So,
Absolutely. I do remember an ex-friend of mine who was very manipulative, and he was manipulative with girls, and he had all these
yeah,
things that he would read up and like techniques to try and like manipulate girls to get with you. And he'd say things like, women are all the same, that you just need to do these 5 simple things and they'll all just. And he was such an arsehole. And listening to you describe that track, I was like, that's that person in my life that I
yeah.
swiftly cut out of my life, who was that smug cunt who thought that was fine. And is that a basis for a relationship? Like, is that starting point the basis for it?
I mean, it's horrifying.
It was
You know,
mad.
it's sad because it's like, sure, go ahead, live your life like that, but you're never going to experience intimacy with anybody. You're never going to have intimacy. You're never going to have a real relationship. But you know, that would be pearls before swine because that would just fall on barren soil. Just saying that, they'd just be like, well, you know that you'd just be accused of being intolerant,
Mm.
you know, by them. That's what
Or
happens. You know,
weak.
it's just
Yeah.
like, yeah, exactly, exactly. Did you ever see Magnolia with Tom Cruise character?
Yeah, I definitely see. That's definitely in my collection. Probably like a
Yeah, he
long
was the
time
guy.
ago.
He was the guy that did those. You know, he was the motivational speaker who taught men to think like that. It was about um, conquering the pussy or something like that.
Yeah, I have to rewatch that, man.
Yeah, and those guys are actually real. They're just, like you said, they actually believe that that's an okay way to deal with somebody or approach somebody.
Yeah, I just cut those people out of my life immediately. If I don't see like
Yeah,
sincerity, integrity, honesty, a bit of openness.
self awareness.
Yeah, if I don't see that in people, or if they get a bit too into what I'm doing, yeah, exactly. And then yeah, you end up having a really supportive group of friends, and these people are just cartoon characters that existed a long time
Yeah,
ago. I'd
yeah.
just like to quickly mention about your music videos that you've done, which I absolutely love. And I spoke to Gwennifer Raymond, who's a Welsh primitive guitarist, in a few episodes ago,
Mm,
and her
yeah.
brother works with you on loads of your music videos.
Yeah, he just had a little baby a couple of days ago.
Yeah, she told me. She told me. Yeah.
Wow, how wonderful. Yeah, he's one of my favorite people. Him and his partner Ewan. The video for Boy from Michigan. Of course, we talk about it and we talk about what I want and I explain the song to them. But then they just go, I can just, because I've done like 5 videos. This was like maybe the 5th video I've done with them. And they always just do something incredible. I can just tell them what I want or how I feel, and they'll go off and do something like that. I mean, He's Got His Mother's Hips is another one.
Yeah, that's amazing.
It's just bonkers how good they are. And I'm so grateful that I get to work with them,
Yeah, how did you meet those guys? Where did that kick start?
I think I got in touch with them because I had seen a video they'd done for Kate LeBon, and I really wanted to work with them because I had become a fan of hers. It was probably around 2012. Actually, it was before that because they did the videos for Queen of Denmark.
Yeah, and
so geez, yeah, and I think it was because of what I had seen them do for Kate, and that's how I met Kate too. Was because of them.
Oh, nice. They're all so different. Like all the videos they've done for you are like they're so different and so wild and so free and adventurous. There's live actors. There's like cartoons over live stuff. There's 3D modeling. There's stop frame animation. There's puppetry. Yeah, just spectacular. Really love what they do.
Yeah, thank you. I couldn't agree more. Just like uber chuffed that I get to work with people like that who they just get me because we have very similar taste, and it's just one of those beautiful things that you could never, that just happens.
Yeah, man. Excellent. Well, John, it's been amazing to speak to you today.
You too, Chris. Really lovely. Thank you so much. I think you're fantastic, and I look forward to more in the future.
Oh, wow. Well, thank you. And yeah, the same goes for you, man. I think this episode's going to go out maybe after the release, but you are touring later in the year, hopefully.
Yeah.
Yeah, so people will be... already tickets sold out, I've seen on the list. I really love your music, John. I love your openness and your honesty. It's really admirable.
Oh.
Yeah, thank you profoundly for speaking to me today, man.
Oh, it's a pleasure, and thank you for that compliment, man. I really appreciate it. It means a lot.
Excellent. Cheers, John. Have a good rest of the day.
Yeah, you too, Chris. Take care.
Oh, John Grant, what an amazing human being. I absolutely love that guy. Another real talent that if you haven't heard of, you have to go and check out his music, especially Boy from Michigan. His new album that's just come out is absolutely fantastic. Going back through his material is amazing, and he's touring this year, so if you can get to go and see him live do it, you won't regret it. He's an amazing performer and human being. Okay, on the show next time we've got someone from Japan. How cool is that? Yeah, we have a female artist from Japan who's headlined some really big festivals all over the world, and she's an amazing artist, so really looking forward to putting that one out there. Thank you very much for listening once again. I really appreciate it. Shout out to everyone in the US, in Germany, in France, in Australia, in Finland, in Norway, all over the world. It's great to see everyone listening, and I hope this brings you some joy. Thank you very much for listening once again. I'm midierror, and I'll see you again soon.